Uh, how's the weather, man? It's been fucking brutally cold here. I'm looking at national weather. They got real bad wildfires in California. Uh, Sad. I guess Midwest is getting whacked with a lot of snow here. We're getting bitter cold. No snow as of yet. Single digits with wind chill. And I think about, well, homelessness. I wouldn't want to be homeless in this weather. And I'm going to talk about homelessness, different situations, an up close and personal experience I have with a guy that had a brother that was homeless, what was done. And I see the behavior of the homeless around here, their personal situations, what they're doing about it. And that's why I have the view and opinion I have on it. And many don't like it, don't agree with it. They say I'm heartless. Hey, you feel the way you do, I feel the way I do. We have 4 homeless shelters here in the city. 2 are churches. They open up the rectory and the basement where they have their bingo and things like that. And they have problems at those. The city armory, they house up to 80 with cots. They've had problems there. Police need to be called with the behavior of the homeless that stay there. And you don't live in them. There's a misconception about homeless shelters. Now they have, battered women's shelters. We have one in the city here where, women and unfortunately small children that are caught up in the situation, they're allowed to pretty much live there. And they get a lot of assistance with housing. They're in there due to no fault of their own. They just hooked up with a pretty rotten son of a bitch for a man. The vast majority of the homeless here, drug addicts, alcoholics. Their life turned to shit because of their behavior, their lifestyle they chose. And people get mad at me. Oh, no, I don't feel sorry. There is help available. I know many people that had serious drug addictions. They got the help that was available and they turned their life around. Got married, had kids, held a good job. And they were able to share their experience with others and share their hope that you don't have to live that way. There is help, but you need to want it. You can force people into detox all you want. Unless they want it, they're not going to recover. It's just the way it is. People like to enable people. Enabling doesn't help them. A lot of people enabled Jabba throughout his train wreck of a life, encouraging him to keep fucking with a Bel Air instead of saying, dude, leave that car alone and think about your life. Get a fucking job. Do something with your health. You know what I mean? Enabling only brings people down. It does not improve their quality of life. You're hurting them. You're not helping them, okay? There's violence in these shelters. Fights. Weapons, drugs have been brought in. What little possessions they have, they're being stolen in the middle of the night. It's a lot of chaos. A lot of chaos. And the doors open at 6 p.m. And each place can only accommodate so many people, and there'll be lines out there waiting. They do a head count. Sorry, that's it. No more for the night. Come back tomorrow morning. They're going to be out at 8 a.m. And the rest of the day, they wander the streets and do whatever. And they're out panhandling and hustling money to buy drugs, alcohol, getting involved in things. Girls are, prostituting themselves. A few places around here, they will panhandle and harass people for money outside of stores and little businesses with a help wanted sign in the window. They won't go in and fill out an application for a job. They'd rather panhandle. They don't even try. They don't even try. We've had some homeless, they're living in their cars. They're working. They had a good job at one time, and rents are not exactly cheap these days. And they were paying their rent, everything was going good, and A lot of places closed around here over the last couple of decades. We had a Goodyear, Chamberlain, Moss Swiss Drill, Continental Screw, real good paying jobs, Revere Copper and Brass. And when they closed, a lot of people lost their homes. They had based their life on a certain amount of income, and now they had to take a much lower paying job. In some cases, half of what they were making before. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry, I had to step away for a minute. And now their lifestyle changed. They sold their home and then had to go from their own home to living in an apartment, but they were not homeless. You know what I mean? They adapted and survived and were happy. You know, they still had their family and they still had their friends and they had some income, and life changes, but it goes on. You make the best of it, as they say. And in some cases, you know, there are people that are living out of their car, but they're still working. And they go to a shelter at night. You know, they're working during the day, so that takes up a big part of their day. They're going to restaurants to eat, paying for their own food, necessities they need. They're paying for it themselves. They're not going on welfare. And they try. A lot of them, they meet other people at times in the same situation. They get together. A lot of people are sharing apartments. You know, they split the expenses now. They're able to have a place to live. There's always a way to do something about your situation if you put the effort into it. But some people just fucking give up on themselves. They want to drink themselves silly, drug themselves silly, or just, even without drugs and alcohol in the picture, they just want to fucking give up and say, fuck it, I'll let everybody else worry about me. And I'll feel sorry for me and do everything you can for me because I don't want to do a fucking thing for myself. And that's exactly what job is about. And then we have people here that they like that lifestyle. Not having any responsibility. Yeah, there's a downside. You're homeless. They don't worry about paying any bills. Why should I pay for bills? Why should I pay for my own food? I'll find welfare. I'll find a soup kitchen. I'll find a food pantry. I'll beg and panhandle for money outside a Dunkin' Donuts or a McDonald's, outside a department store, supermarket. And they prefer that lifestyle. I had a real good friend. We're not friends anymore to this day because he moved away. He moved away to Connecticut years back. But he had a brother, and his brother was a real fucking loser. Drugs, alcohol. Street person. Out hanging with bad crowds. Panhandling. Shooting dope. Drinking. Getting involved in small little robberies. A few times he probably should have gone to jail, but got probation after probation. And his family had quite a bit of money. Quite a bit of money. And what they did for their son, for his brother, they got an apartment, paid all the expenses, rent, gas, electric, cable, TV. They paid all the expenses. So this way, they'd get him off the street. And they even gave him money every week, knowing he was going to spend it on alcohol and drugs, knowing full well what he was going to do with the money. They gave him everything he needed so he wouldn't be homeless. He'd have food and drugs and booze. And they couldn't keep him in that apartment. He still spent all his time out wandering the streets with friends, sleeping in fucking abandoned buildings behind fucking stores, even in the winter. He just adopted that homeless lifestyle that he was comfortable in. Even though he was given everything he needed to get him away from that, that's the lifestyle he chose. So we got a lot of people like that around here. I don't know how it is where you are. But, you know, I get bashed at times for job. Oh, you shouldn't pick on the homeless. I don't pick on the homeless. I get on people that just don't give a fuck. You know, like I said, there are people that are homeless that are doing something. They're trying. They're working. They just can't afford a high rent. And yeah, they will live in their car, spend their day working at a place, whether it's a store, whether it's a factory, but they're working. They get a paycheck every week. They're sleeping in a shelter at night because they can't afford an apartment on their own. But they're looking for someone to share an apartment. They're always trying to do something to make their situation better. They don't sit on their fucking fat ass like Java on fucking YouTube, bitching and complaining and whining like a little fucking bitch, wanting everyone to feel sorry for him when he's not doing a fucking thing. As long as his health is as bad as it is, that alone, That alone. Can't breathe, can barely take 2 steps without coughing and hacking and puking. He can't breathe and he's smoking fucking cigarettes. He just, jobber, you don't give a fuck about anything. You hold a job, give me a fucking break. You're not capable of any type of 8-hour-a-day work. Even if it was sitting at a fucking counter at a dollar store as a price checker. Even if it was sitting on an electric shopping scooter at the entrance to Walmart handing out happy face stickers being a greeter. You couldn't even handle something like that where there was no strenuous activity. Just the fact that your attitude, your bad personality, you can't get along with people. You'd be fucking arguing with people walking in. Arguing with people walking out. What'd you buy that for? You can, the people that stock that. All you do is create chaos working with any type of job you had to deal with the fucking public. All you do is create chaos. You probably get fired your first day on the fucking job anyway. You can take a situation and see that there are different aspects to it. There are different type of people involved in the same situation, and some you have a heart for, some you feel for, some you're willing to help, because they're at least trying to help themselves. They're doing something themselves. Then you get the others that just don't give a fuck.